Hi guys, Jen here with Blessed by Angels, and today I am so excited to share with you about our senses when it comes to connecting into our spiritual self. Just as we have our five senses, sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. I always forget the hearing, I don't know why. We have these five senses. I want you to imagine a sixth sense in which we have. And that sixth sense is almost like an antenna that is connecting into a spiritual realm all around us. So it's almost like the things that we don't physically see or we don't experience with our five physical senses, we can experience that within our sixth sense, which is our spiritual sense. Now, there are many different manifestations in which we can connect in or in which we feel ourselves connected to that spiritual self. I'm going to go over a brief overview of these senses, and then I will make videos going in depth about each of them after that. But once again, this is just understanding the basics of what it is that might work for you or what it is that rings true with you. So these senses are called the clairs. Clair meaning clear. So the first sense that I will be sharing is clairvoyance. Now clairvoyance is clear seeing. Now I like to think of voyance, I like to remember it as like clairvoyance is seeing the voyage ahead of you. And this is related to seeing things within your third eye or seeing things within your mind's eye. So it might be that you can see things, or when you're meditating, or maybe when you're with someone, it's almost like you can see things about them, or you can see things that you don't necessarily see within your eyes, within your physical eyes, but you're aware of it within yourself. I like to kind of relate this to almost like watching a movie within your mind. You might have very vivid dreams, or it's easy to have visions or have daydreams, or just visualize things very much so within your mind's eye. I kind of like to explain it as if, if you were to think back to what you had for dinner last night, you could picture it within your mind's eye. It comes through a little bit like that. So it might not be that you physically see things in the physical world. I mean, you may, but a lot of times it's being able to see things within your third eye, which is your mind's eye, inside of your mind as maybe a movie playing. The second clair I wanted to talk about is clairsentience. Now, clairsentience is clairsensing or clairfilling. So this might be, I like to remember this word as sentence. So if you're talking to someone, it's almost like you can hear or feel what they're saying within the sentence in which they're talking. It might be that you just have this feeling like, okay, this person is telling the truth or this person is not telling the truth. It's as if you feel it within your body. So some people may feel physical elements of maybe someone that passed, or they might feel somebody around them. Or when they're receiving information or inspiration, it's almost as if they feel it within the core of who they are, and they can't deny what they're feeling. Now this also comes along with strong gut intuition, strong gut feelings. It might be like, well, I just have this gut feeling inside of me, where I'm just feeling that. Or someone who might be listening to music or watching a movie, and they just feel the energy within them. They just feel how amazing it was, or it just touches them to the core. You can be feeling someone's emotions. You can be feeling what someone's going through. That is kind of what it is to be clairsentience. When it comes to channeling, for me, I feel things a lot. I'll feel someone's personality, maybe physical elements in which they experienced. I might feel if it's a male or a female. However that comes forward, it's more so a feeling than anything else. Now, the third sense that I wanted to talk about is clairaudience, clear hearing. I feel like audience is an easy one to remember, audio, being able to hear these things. Now, this might be someone hearing a lot of thoughts within their mind, whether it be thoughts of a loved one, thoughts of a higher power, whatever it is, but it's almost like being able to differentiate your thoughts versus the thoughts that you're hearing or the thoughts that you're feeling. So a lot of people who are clairaudient, really music touches them. They'll be listening to music and it's almost like the words in which they hear are so powerful and so strong that it changes who they are, or it's very helpful for them. People might also hear voices within their mind. Like, I hear this going on. Someone who has clairaudience is also really good at hearing in this physical sense. They might hear things that no one else hears, and they might be able to express that in different ways. So that is more of the clairaudience. So it's hearing the things that are not heard originally, or hearing things within your mind's eye. Some people actually will be sleeping at night and wake up because they hear a physical voice talking to them when nobody else is around. So the fourth sense is claircognizance. Now this is a clair knowing. I like to think of cognizance as like, I don't know if you ever played like the Conga games when you were younger. It's all about understanding, it's knowing, it's strengthening your mental mind. So I kind of think of it in that sense, but claircognizance is being able to just know. It's like you just have this knowing about something. You might be talking to someone and you just know maybe they're not telling the truth, or you know that they have a good heart, or you know what they're going through. It's just like something that you have this download of information that you're just aware of things that not a lot of people have the ability to be aware of. And it's also knowing things without having clear fact. So it might be, I know that this is going on for someone, even though they never said that, they never expressed it, but you just have this clear knowing of what that is. Now, there are two other clairs that are not as common. And that one, which would be number 5, is clairgustance, which is clear tasting. So there are times where people might be sitting somewhere and they have this taste that reminds them of a loved one. Or maybe they can taste, if someone's really having a hard time, they might taste the sourness in their mouth and they're with that person. This is a great example of being able to taste with that sense. And the 7th sense that isn't as common is clairalience. And I like to think of that as, this is so cheesy, but aliens is like aliens coming down, and it's like you're smelling something that's not of this world. And that is exactly how people who have clairalience are. They might be driving in the car. Even just today I had a session with someone, and her father addressed how he was in the car with her yesterday, and she was aware of that. And she said, oh my gosh, I was driving in the car with my brothers, and all of a sudden I had the smell of my dad. And no one else smelt it, but I did. So it's being able to smell your loved ones who have passed on. You might have like this whiff of a smell that just comes and goes out of nowhere. That is an example of clairalience. So you're smelling things that are outside the normal range of which is around. It might be if someone was a smoker, you smell that smoke. Or if someone had kind of like a dusty old person smell, you would maybe be walking and just smell that. Some people have flowers in which they remind them of someone, and they smell those flowers. It's those kind of experiences where one time I had a session, and I'm not really that great in the smelling area of things, but the one time I actually did have this, I was channeling for a son who had passed on, and he was talking about his father, and all of a sudden I could smell Arby's curly fries. And I was like, is there something with Arby curly fries that was connected to both of them doing things together? And she said that was their thing, is they would go get curly fries together, chat in the car, and just have great heart-to-heart moments. And so by me smelling that was a validation of what they used to do. So by being aware of what you're smelling around you is a great idea if you want to open up that clairalience. These are just the basic of 7 senses that are heightened within your 6th sense, or the spiritual realm of who you are. I will go into further depth about each of these senses, as well as ways to strengthen them and activities in which you can do to really bring that to light. Now, if you're wondering what senses are yours or what senses do you have more heightened, below I will link a questionnaire or a quiz that kind of goes over some ideas about what it is that might work for you. So if you want to take that quiz and tally up the points, that's a great way to get started. I also like to imagine it this way. If you were to think back to the last movie that you watched, what was it that stuck out to you the most? So think back to the last movie. What movie was that? Now, if you were to describe to a friend what that movie was like, What is it that you would say about that movie? What is it that you would notice the most? Did you like the soundtrack? Did you like the views, where it was located, the colors? Did you like the storyline? Were you so engulfed in what was going on that it was like you were watching it and you were feeling every single emotion? Did you like the people in it? Were you so thrilled with who was around, the conversations? Were you focused on what they were saying? What was it that rung true with you, or what was it that touched you when you were watching that movie? This is a great way, or maybe when you're watching that movie, were you eating a sweet and can you smell that? Can you taste that sweet within your mouth, or can you smell it? Can you smell what you were acknowledging when you're watching the show? Or maybe you could imagine if there was a scene with a bunch of flowers, could you imagine smelling those flowers? By being able to think back to watching a show or by being able to recollect or talk about what you would describe within a movie, this is a great way of knowing naturally what it is that sticks out to you. You know, if the soundtrack and the voices and the audio was something that was very clear for you, you might have clear audience. That might be one of your heightened senses. If you just had a knowing, like you just knew how the movie was going to end, you knew the storyline, you might have clear cognizance, which is clear knowing. If you felt things, if you felt the storyline, if it was like your whole heart and soul was watching that show, if there was drama or if there was a relationship twist, if someone was in a hard time and you could just feel it within yourself, you might be experiencing clear sentience, which is feeling everything going on. You know, you might experience the color or where it was taking place, and you love the costumes, you love the lighting, you love the brightness. That could be clairvoyance, and you're loving what you're seeing. So by recollecting back to a movie, think about what sticks out to you, and then go from there. It might also help you be able to explore your spiritual gifts and your sixth sense even heightened within all of these different realms of these seven senses within that sixth sense. Now, stay tuned and I will add more videos describing each of the senses, how to understand them, activities to open them, depending upon which one you feel drawn to and which one naturally rings true to you from the very beginning. Stay tuned and those will be posted soon.